Julie Kelley is the regional officer for the University and College Union now. When we last spoke to Julie, I spoke to Julie from the picket line at Hull College. Julie, morning, how are you?
Good morning, I'm well, thanks, James. Are you?
Yes, very well indeed, thanks. And I'd like you to just give me an update on that, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, our members this week at Hull College are working to contract, so they're just doing their contractual hours. They're not doing any overtime. They're taking a lunch break, which is a bit of a refreshing change for people because, generally speaking, our members work through their lunch breaks. We've got a disputes resolution meeting coming up with the employer tomorrow, and we're hopeful that that will have a good outcome. We think it's obviously time that there was a positive outcome for our members at the college, and we're hoping that that will be achieved. OK,
thank you for talking to us about that. I want to know more generally about whether you think striking works. I mean, in that case, it appears that the college has had to sit up and listen, hasn't it? And interestingly, you know, this was a small local dispute. You went out there and achieved national coverage for what you were doing.
We did indeed. I mean, striking is always a last resort. I think that's worth saying. It's not something that any union will take lightly. You have to make sure that you have the support of the members and that the members are prepared to take that industrial action, and of course statutory ballots, and make sure and ensure that you do have that support to be able to do that. And of course, the last thing that, whether you're a doctor or whether or not you're a lecturer working in either further education or higher education, the last thing that anybody wants to do is to disrupt either patients in respect of the doctor's dispute, or whether it's students in relation to the sector that I work in. Our members are very, very loyal to their students, and they always have the students' best interests at heart. But there are times when things get so difficult in relation to how they're being treated by their employer that, regrettably, they're left with no choice but to do something about that. You can talk in meetings till you're blue in the face, but if nobody's listening to you and wanting to do something about the issues that you're really concerned about, then you get pushed into a position where you've got no option but to, if you like, press the nuclear button and ballot for industrial action.
And of course, there are many industries growing now today in this sort of modern workplace economy we have, which don't have union backing, people that don't have the ability to strike. How important is that ability? What does it do? Does it mean the employer has no choice but to listen to you, effectively?
I mean, I think the unions have done a great deal for workers generally. I mean, obviously, things like having paid holidays, addressing things like rates of pay, conditions of service, health and safety issues. Unions are constantly doing things in order to improve the working environment and the pay and the conditions that people work in. And quite rightly so, what kind of society would it be if there wasn't unions? Unions are often, the only real sort of serious bodies that actually challenge what is taking place in work. And let's face it, everybody spends huge amounts of time in work, and who wants to be working in a working environment that is either unsafe or is poorly paid, or you're not getting proper rest breaks? We don't want to be slipping back into Victorian times where the over how they treat their staff.
But at the same time, you do have situations where, in the past, certainly in the 70s and 80s, but back when we had an industry which made things and produced things, we had situations where there were pay deals being pushed through which brought companies to their knees.
Well, we're not working in the 70s and 80s now, is it? It's a different time and it's a different era, I think, as I said earlier, taking industrial action is only a last resort. Unfortunately, there are times when you have to take that step.
Just before you go, Julie, tell us about the university strikes, which are beginning next week. What's that? I mean, that's not something that's been on my radar yet, and I'm sure many people aren't aware of them yet. What's happening?
Yeah, there's a national dispute in higher education that will affect all universities in the UK. It's over pay, and it's also over issues like the gender pay gap. For example, if you're a female academic, 87.4% of female academics are paid less than their male counterparts. We want the university sector to do something to address that. We want the university sector to do something about how it abuses and uses casualised zero-hour contracts. We don't think that's right. Students are paying £9,000 in many cases to get their degrees, and a lot of the time the people that are working on those courses are actually being paid as a casual worker, as if you were working in Sports Direct or McDonald's. You know, we think the universities, they've got the money. Last year, and latest information that's available to us, universities made surpluses cumulatively of £1.85 billion.
In the UK?
In the UK.
That's
and
vast,
we want the universities to address some of these issues to do with casual contracts, the gender pay gap. We want a decent pay increase for our members.
So you'll be on the picket line outside. You'll be on the picket line outside Hull University next week, then.
Yes, that's right. There'll be a 2-day strike next week on the 25th and 26th of May.
All right. Well, thanks for telling us about it, Julie. Julie Kelley there from the University and College Union, talking to us about striking there, both at Hull College and next week at the University of Hull.